my name is Kat, and today I have a book haul that I am very excited to get into. I've got some books that I have recently read, some books at the top of my TBR, and some books that I picked up for a very specific reason. Let's call it trope research. That sounds good. But yeah, as per usual, we're gonna kick things off with some of the BOOKSPLOSION books. For those of you who don't know, BOOKSPLOSION is an online book club that I run with Christine and Jesse. Every month we choose a book that we all read together, and then we host a live show discussion at the end of the month. If you're interested in learning more about BOOKSPLOSION or joining us for one of our read-alongs, I'll put all of the relevant info down below in the description. But yeah, let's get into the books. First up, I have here This Is Not the Jess Show by Anna Carey. This was the BOOKSPLOSION Book of the Month pick for February. We are working with Quirk Books on this one. And this was such a fun and fascinating read. Basically, we're following a girl named Jessica Flynn who is like any other teenager in 1998. She's dealing with things like overprotective parents and a younger sister who is sick and a crush on her best friend. Her life is very normal, very 1998. But then weird things start to happen. One morning, she hears this chanting outside of her window. One of her friends accidentally drops this black object that has an apple symbol on it. Her dog is seemingly replaced with a different dog, and no one else in her family will acknowledge this. So Jess starts searching for answers, and what she discovers ends up blowing her whole world apart. I had such a good time reading this book. Like, I adore the premise, and it was so fun to explore. Going into it, I did have a pretty good idea about what the main twist was, like the direction the story was headed. But there were a lot of other plot twists that I did not see coming, and that surprised me in the best way. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's definitely the kind of book that sticks with you and gives you a lot to think about, especially the ending, which might just be my favorite part. I don't know, like I said, there's a lot of little twists that I didn't see coming and that I loved. But yeah, if you want to know more of my spoilery thoughts, then definitely check out the BOOKSPLOSION live show, because we had a really good discussion about this book. Next up, I have here Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, and this was the BOOKSPLOSION Book of the Month pick for March. Can't really get into the synopsis for this book because it is the second book in a trilogy that is sort of a sequel series to another trilogy. And just to safely avoid spoilers, I can't even really tell you who the main characters in this book are. Like, I can't say a thing. But honestly, do I really need to say a thing about this book? Like, it's Cassandra Clare, it's the Shadowhunter series. I'm sure you've heard of it. And if you haven't heard of it, then you definitely don't want to start with this book. Like, start with the Infernal Devices. That's my advice. Other people might advise you differently, but I say Infernal Devices is the way to go. But yeah, what I can say about this book is that it gave me a lot of feelings. And like any other good second book in a trilogy, it left me in a state of like mindless frustration and desperation for the third and final book. Like, I need it. I love this world. I love our ensemble cast of characters. And of course, there is so much to discuss about this book, but it all involves spoilers. So if you've read this and you want to know more about my spoilery thoughts, then again, you want to check out the BOOKSPLOSION live show, because we discuss this in all of its spoilery glory. The next book that I have here is The Sky Blues by Robbie Couch. This is the BOOKSPLOSION Book of the Month pick for April, and we're working with Simon & Schuster on this one. This is a contemporary debut novel about a boy named Sky who is openly gay, but in his small town, he finds it easier to just remain invisible. But by the end of his senior year, he decides it's time to start living loud and proud. He devises a plan to ask out his crush by pulling off the gayest promposal that his small town has ever seen. But then his plans get leaked to the entire school by an anonymous homophobic hacker. And this kicks off the school-wide countdown to Sky's promposal, and also the hunt to expose this hacker. This sounds like a wonderful queer coming-of-age story, and I cannot wait to read it very soon. It's next up on my TBR. The live show discussion for this book is taking place on Saturday, May 1st, So again, Booksplosion info is down below if you're interested in joining us. The next book that I have here is The Prison Healer by Lynette Nani. And I received this book from the publisher HMH, who I'm working with this month. This is the first book in a fantasy series about a 17-year-old girl named Kiva who has spent the last 10 years struggling to survive in this notorious death prison where she works as a healer. When the rebel queen is captured, Kiva is tasked with keeping this terminally ill woman alive long enough for her to face the trials. This series of elemental challenges that only the most dangerous criminals are assigned. But then Kiva gets a coded message from her family that basically says, "Don't let the queen die, we are coming." Well aware that the sickly queen has no chance of surviving these trials, Kiva ends up volunteering in her place. If Kiva succeeds, then both her and the queen will be granted freedom, but no one has ever survived these trials before. So yeah, this sounds really good, and I am very excited to get into it, especially because I feel like it's been forever since I read a good high fantasy novel. Moving on to 3 books that I picked up because they all feature a very specific trope that I wanted to research. Earlier this year, I drafted a new book that features this trope that I refer to as secret online identity. And the basic gist of this trope is that 2 people have online identities that interact with each other, and then they end up meeting in real life, but they aren't aware that they are the same people as their online counterparts. You know, they aren't aware that they know each other in real life and online at first, but usually one of them figures it out before the other, and then there's all sorts of drama and conflict surrounding that. It's a really fun trope, in my opinion. And because I wrote it into one of my books, I wanted to do some research and read some other books that feature this trope so I can see how other authors have executed it. So first up, I have here Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. In this book, we are following 2 main characters. First is Marcus. He is an actor. He's the star of the biggest show on television. And his secret is that he writes fanfic about his own character and how the show version of his character does not do the book version justice. And then we also follow April, who is a hardcore fan of the series, but she keeps her online fan identity separate from her real life until she dares to post a cosplay photo on Twitter, and her plus-size take on the character ends up going viral. When April starts getting internet hate, Marcus decides to ask her out, to take her on a date as sort of a publicity thing. On this date, Marcus quickly realizes that he actually likes April, and he wants to get to know her more, and he doesn't want this to just be a publicity stunt. But then Marcus discovers that April's online identity is actually his closest fandom friend. And now he has a whole nother kind of secret that he is keeping from her. So yeah, this sounds super fun, and I am very much looking forward to giving it a read. And then I have here What I Like About You by Marissa Cantor. In this book, we are following a teenage girl named Hallie who runs a successful YA book blog under the name Kells. In real life, Hallie is shy and awkward, but online as Kells, she has friends and a growing platform and a best friend named Nash. But then Hallie changes schools for her senior year, and she comes face to face with Nash, who is no longer anonymous behind a screen, but is now right in front of her and seemingly everywhere she goes. Hallie doesn't want to tell Nash that she is actually Kells because she doesn't want to ruin their non-awkward online friendship, but it starts to get complicated when Hallie realizes that she's falling for real-life Nash, but Nash has a crush on online Kells. Again, I mostly picked up this book to see how it utilizes this very specific trope, but I'm also intrigued by this because the main character is a YA book blogger. So I'm also interested to see how that aspect plays out. And finally, I have here I Kissed Alice by Anna Birch. In this book, we follow two girls, Rhodes and Ileana, who are academic rivals at their school, and they are both going after this coveted scholarship that only one of them can get. So in real life, they are worst enemies, but online, they are both involved in this fanfic site where they are unknowingly collaborating together on this webcomic. And while they hate each other IRL, online, they are both starting to like each other kind of a lot. So what happens when the truth of their online identities is revealed? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. And while that trope is initially what drew me to this book, it also gets bonus points for being a sapphic rom-com. Like, yes, please, I cannot wait to read. So yeah, those are the books that I have recently acquired, and I am very excited to read the ones that I have not yet read, especially the trope research books. Like, research has never sounded so fun before. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video today, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Bye!